Hey YouTube! In this video I'm going to make some OJ stir fry, and this will be about the third time that I've made it. I made it recently, like the other week, and this is just with the leftover vegetables and things. And then I've done it once before, and I really actually like this combination, and some of you guys might not know exactly what the title means, so when we get to that part it will be your surprise. Also depending on what thumbnail I do for this. So, let's get started by putting some sesame oil into our pan. We have this Aussie sesame oil. This is just regular white. I like the nutty flavor that this provides. I'm going to turn it on to a high 7 right now. We'll start with just that much sesame oil. Actually, I'm just going to turn this on to power because I just want some hot oil. And now, the first thing that I'm putting into here is some chicken. I'll go ahead and turn that back to 5 now. And this is just the more fatty, like chewy pieces of chicken that most people probably wouldn't want to eat. I like to cut those off and put them into whatever I'm cooking beforehand. Either I'll put them in on the side and scoop it out afterwards, or if I can beforehand, I'll put them in and then scoop it out afterwards. I do the same thing with beef too. So if there is any fat that is actually going to cook down and add flavor, it will cook down and add flavor. Otherwise, I am just... and then I scoop out the bits that don't cook down. So that's just what I'm doing here. This process doesn't take very, very long. If I can get this sticky chicken off of my fingers. Come on. So, turn this down a little bit more. You can see here this is mostly cooked up. We'll let it go another minute or so and have all of this fatty, chewy chicken cooked up. I try and cut off as much meat as I can from this, get really close to it, but I do cut this off of the chicken before chopping it up. Okay, so this is cooked. If it was going to give us any fat being rendered down, yeah, it's done that. I'm just scooping this out, and it is gonna just go wherever we put our chicken. So the next thing, I've turned my pan down all the way to 1 just for scooping that out. I'm gonna turn it to like 4 temporarily. So then here I have, this is 8 cups of my vegetables that I'm gonna be adding. So I did some rainbow carrots, which are yellow, orange, and purple. We got purple cabbage in there. I have some sliced celery in here, and then as you can see, on the bottom side we have some broccoli and some green onions. Now, whatever vegetables you like to use in your stir fry should work for this. The only thing that I would suggest actually adding out of all this is the green onion, because it's the most flavorful and will affect the final flavor of things when we're done. I'm also going to go ahead and add in some bean sprouts. I just like to do equal parts of all the veggies. There might be a little more bean sprouts, but I just want to use up the whole can, because the last batch that I bought had the non-canned bean sprouts and they went sour really fast. So now that I've got this, I'm going to go ahead and squeeze in some garlic. Now I like this thing right here. It's something I got at Dollar Tree years ago. They used to sell them in a 2-pack. Probably find them online. But it is a garlic peeler. It looks like a silicone cannoli maker, but it's not. And there's your perfectly peeled garlic. Do that again for the other one. If you're using this thing, make sure that you know how much garlic you're putting in your food. You're absolutely certain of that. If you're experimenting, wait a bit and maybe see if you need to add more garlic, because once you get it wet to rinse out the garlic peel, then it will not work. So I'm just going to go dump this into our compost. So we'll go ahead and squeeze. I got 2 cloves of garlic here. These are kind of medium sized. 1 large clove would work. I like it to have a garlicky flavor. Squeeze it out. Shave it off. Now, my mom used to squeeze a little bit and cut it off, but you actually don't need to. It mushes up into just all these nice little pieces here. And then this is the part where, depending on who I'm cooking for, I will either scrape the inside here like this and get some of it up like this. I'm cooking for more people. Squeeze it out a second time, scrape that off again, and then I open it up and I squeeze out the rest of the garlic like this. But if I'm cooking for myself, usually I skip the second stage of the scraping it up and squeezing it out again, because I don't mind an extra large piece of garlic in my food as long as most of it is chopped up. And some people probably just go wash this out in the sink at this point, but no, I paid for this garlic, or actually my mom paid for this garlic, but I like to use it all. I like the flavor. I don't know, just coming from the more frugal side of me growing up in a family that didn't always have a lot of money. We have a lot of nice stuff, and one of my friends once mentioned he couldn't tell that we didn't have lots of money, but that's because we know how to save up and buy things, or, I wish I could remember the name of the comment, but this makes me think of, there was a comment on a Techmoan video called A Mug's Eyeful about this really cheap stereo that was made to look fancy and have everything, including the CD, the record player, and the tape deck and everything, and the radio. And down in the comments, someone said that his dad said they were always too poor to be cheap. Meaning they couldn't just buy the cheap thing that would then break and they would buy a new one again when it broke. They had to save up and buy the more expensive one that would last. I agree with that philosophy wholeheartedly. So, there's our garlic. I'm just going to quickly rinse this out so it doesn't dry and get hard to clean. Because, you know, I have accidentally forgot to clean the garlic press until after I was done cooking, and it was a lot harder to clean then. So I'm going to go ahead and add a little more sesame oil. You know, if you want a lighter flavor, then you can use less sesame oil or a different brand, like the Wishan brand. Isn't very strong, even with their black sesame oil, which black sesame oil is stronger. From the brands that I've tasted, it's a darker flavor, but not necessarily stronger. This has a more nutty flavor. I want to do a follow-up video, because there's a different brand I got that's just a weird bitter flavor, and it's, like, interesting. So, hopefully I remember to do a follow-up video on all of the sesame oils. So, how much sesame oil did I add? Like, maybe 3, maybe 4 tablespoons. So, it's like 5 for a quarter cup, right, Mom? Let's see what the first thing said.
3.
3 tablespoons for a quarter cup?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, 3-4 tablespoons of sesame oil. And I'm going to add some rice vinegar. I'm going to do about the same rice vinegar. I'm just kind of feeling. I have an idea about how good it tastes. But you know, if you have a similar, this is Maruchan. I mean, if you sprinkle this on about like I did and it looks the same, great. Next we have Bragg's Liquid Aminos. It's a all-purpose seasoning from soy protein, so it's like a soy sauce alternative. I'm going to add about that much in here too, saving the best ingredient for last. I'm going to turn this to 5. And then, oops, we got a few bean sprouts here. I'm going to come in with some Himalayan pink salt. We don't want too much, but I like a decent amount of salt, but not too much. Again, I wish I remembered who made this, but I watched 2 Asian Oriental guys, I forget where from. They were trying different American ramens that had been sent to them, and the one comment they had about all of these instant ramens was they weren't salty enough. So we've done that, and then I'm going to go and add some ground ginger. If you want to add fresh ginger, however you add fresh ginger, you can, you know, do that. I don't know. There's like maybe a half a tablespoon or so. And then I'm going to add some pepper. This is peppercorn melange, so it's all the colors. I'm going to go for about 20 seconds on this grinder. Okay, so I actually went for 30 seconds on the grinder, and then I'm just going to add some crushed pepper. I like just a little bit of heat, but I'm not adding as much as I did last time, because it was fine for me, but my parents said it was a little spicy, so I would say that's probably 1/4 teaspoon of crushed pepper. And now, for the thing that makes this special, we are going to add chicken to this later on. I like to add it after the vegetables have cooked. Orange juice. I'm using Minute Maid here. Just pour it in. I'm going to turn my temperature up. And this is a little bit less juice than I used on the last batch, but I didn't buy more OJ. And basically, you just now want to let this cook down, and really the idea came from, because you know we got like orange chicken and certain orange flavored things. What if you made like a stir fry type thing? and boiled it in orange juice for orangey flavor. And it kind of does work, although it's not very strong and pronounced with this. And again, like I said at the start, you can use whatever vegetables you want for this, except I would definitely add some green onion to keep a similar flavor, but the other vegetables are pretty mild. But I've seen like baby corn is a common stir-fry ingredient that I noticed when I was at the store getting more bean sprouts. I had forgotten about that. Other little things like that, you can change the flavors up if you want to, but the main thing here is the orange juice that will add some flavor. And especially since I do not have as much juice as I did, I'm going to go ahead and cover this and then just let it cook till the vegetables are soft. And then from there, I will actually take the lid off and we'll let things simmer down with the chicken in there and thicken up just a little bit so it will allow some of the juices to come out. So we'll go to that point. So here's a little trick that I just realized. I want to do a separate video on this, like probably a YouTube short as like a life hack or tip thing. Actually a useful one. If you go like this, because you see this spouts in the middle here, and then you will get usually a literal whole sip of orange juice. You can see that was a whole sip. I remember I talked about this to my mom the first time that I told her about it, and she didn't really believe me, but then I showed her, and it's a literal sip of orange juice. So
that used to be the only way we opened those kind of containers. They didn't have the
right,
spout.
Yeah. Milk containers sometimes still come that way, but that's a good little tip for getting that last little bit of juice out so that you're not wasting. Okay, so as you can see here, it looks very nice, and well, I mean, maybe it doesn't look completely appetizing, but we are ready to add our chicken in now. This is 2 chicken breasts. I don't know like how much that is. Chicken breasts are, one of them was a little bit large, I think my mom noted. But just as long as you have, I like approximately equal meat to vegetable ratio, then I think you should be totally
per vegetable
fine.
Or
all the vegetables together?
Okay, because you've got more vegetables than meat.
I do have a little more vegetable than meat, but not as bad of a ratio as some other people have had. Like I know my mom used to make stir fries and have like this much vegetable and 2/3 the amount of meat. So I think this is okay. This is an okay ratio for me. A little more meat could be nice, but I didn't want too much more. So yeah, we're gonna let this cook with the lid off, simmer down some of the juices so it's a little less runny. And then I'm going to be having this with some rice that I will cook up in just a moment. Everyone knows how to cook rice, so I don't need to show that, hopefully. I hope. But I also really like having this with udon noodles. My mom doesn't care for them. They're a little too big and slimy for her. But that's my favorite thing to have this with. And so you can go, I get my plain udon noodles from the Asian market and boil some up and have them with them. And udon noodles are very best fresh. Like, they weren't quite as, they didn't have quite the same texture and chewiness, because I cooked all of them up that same night and I had them later. Other noodles, when you have them frozen, or not frozen, sorry, when you have them, because these were frozen udon, when you have them in the fridge after cooking them, they're not as good, but they're still better than udon noodles after cooking and then being in the fridge. So just try and cook as much as you need. But we'll let this cook down. So I just remembered I have some sliced water chestnuts that I like to add. I'm going to add them juice and all, especially since right now this is simmered down enough that I might like a little more juice. And I do have some rice cooking, a little more juicy because I have rice with it. If I was doing udon noodles, I would probably strain this out a little more and have some less juice. I like to add the water chestnuts towards the end so that they retain a little bit of their crunch, but they still will stay relatively crunchy because this is going to have like leftovers in the fridge and it will still taste good later on. So now that we've added our chestnuts, just let this cook a little bit further and we are basically just waiting on the rice. So we'll see you at that point. Perfect. So here we have some rice. This is a brown basmati rice. I prefer a white jasmine rice. This is all we had. We'll have to get more jasmine rice. Or as I said earlier, I prefer udon noodles. You could use crunchy chow mein noodles or even the soft cooked chow mein noodles. As long as you have something to put this on, or even just eat this as is.
It's a soup. Stew.
Yeah, you could maybe look at it that way. But again, I did it a little more juicy because I'm putting it on rice. So this gives some flavor to the rice. But you could have it cooked down a little more dry if you weren't putting it on rice. I think the ratio is pretty good, so let's go ahead and give this a little taste here, get some of everything. And we'll see if I also successfully made it a little less spicy this time, or if I need to add more pepper flakes and cook it a little longer. That's good. I would definitely add a little more pepper flake because there's like no spice in this whatsoever. You willing to taste a smidge, Mom, and see what you think of this less spicy variation? Check. Okay, yeah, you're in frame. We're good.
I can taste the soy sauce really well. It has a lot of flavor, so I don't know if it needs to be spicy, but...
Well, like, because I think it needs just a little bit of a kick. Just a little bit. Because it does have flavor, but you know, like, I'm talking about more of the pepper flakes.
Yeah, I don't. But that's not what I live and breathe for, though. Whoa,
Right.
nope, it's hitting the back of my throat.
Oh, it is?
A little spiciness there. Yeah.
I wonder if you got maybe a pepper flake. I'm starting to taste a slight amount of warmth, so, but it's mostly pretty mild. I was hoping for half as spicy as I did last time, which I added easily 2 tablespoons of pepper flakes to that. But
How much did you add this time? Half a teaspoon? Or a teaspoon, I mean?
probably
or
like
half
a quarter
even.
teaspoon.
So you'd probably be safe going up to a full teaspoon, but you said you did a tablespoon last time? How much did you do last time?
About a tablespoon or so.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
pepper flakes are also something that you really have to let cook in to this if you really want the flavor. I'm going to sprinkle just a little bit on my portion right now. Mix that in. But especially with this kind of a thing, I like to have it cook in and really let the flavor seep out. But you
Yeah,
can,
because that will let it get more flavor and be hotter.
Yeah.
Less.
and you'll have like less clumps in one spot of the flavor. But you can add a little bit more afterwards if you like. But I'm going to leave it this way. That way my parents can have some of this the next few days without, you know, having it be spicy. Because they appreciated that the noodles were taking some of the heat away from the spicy of the stir fry. But it was a lot spicier.
So you added the flakes early enough, they should be well blended into the flavor. Yeah, okay.
I did.
Okay.
So, yeah, and right there, I can taste... Yeah, I can taste a little bit of the heat. The flavor's not as well mixed with everything. It's a little more forward, but, you know, this is good enough for me. Add a little more heat, but leave it that way for them. So anyways, thanks so much for watching this cooking video. If you guys liked it, leave a like down below. Check out the variety of other things that I do. I will do more cooking at some point, but I don't know when. It's kind of a here and there thing until I run out of all my own original recipes and things. And then from there on to some of the other stuff that I do. But go check out the variety of other things I do, and if you like that, then subscribe. And I will see you guys in whatever's next. Bye!